Hey guys, it's Donnie here, and today we're going to be getting started talking about HTML. HTML is basically the language of the internet and how websites get created and communicated to people. So I have a couple of notes here that I jotted down for myself to talk to you guys about introducing HTML. The acronym itself stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and the key words in that big acronym are markup language. So what markup means is taking some simple information and obviously marking it up. And what that means is adding some more information to give some details about the information that's already there. So just to kind of talk about that for a little bit, you can see here my note says document metadata. So that's kind of the major concept of HTML. The purpose of HTML is to communicate a document. Every time you go to a website, like CNN.com, Google.com, Yahoo.com, any one of these .com websites or any website at all, everything that you see there is represented behind the scenes in HTML. And so what you're looking at is a document, and that was the purpose of HTML, is to be able to create and communicate these documents that we can look at. Now the metadata portion of that means there's a lot of information, tiny little details that are embedded and marked up, if you will, into the document details. So for example, I don't want to just state this paragraph of information. I also want to say, well, where is this paragraph going to be on the screen? How big is the font going to be? What type of font are we going to use? Is it going to be right next to something else? Is it going to be on top of something else? All these tiny little details need to be represented somewhere in the information that's being sent to the web browser. And so anytime we have this model of information and then information regarding that information, we kind of call that metadata. So in this case, really the purpose of HTML is to create this large piece of metadata, and it represents a document. And just to exemplify this a little bit, I'm going to open my browser, Google Chrome, and I'm just going to go to any old site. I'm going to go to Microsoft.com, and you can go to pretty much any website in the world, and all browsers, most browsers, have this feature that you can view the source, which means to view the HTML that was crafted in order to show what you're seeing. So now you see this big mess of text, and all this is the HTML that was required, all the metadata, if you will, that was required to represent what appears to be a pretty simple page. So you can see it's fairly complex behind the scenes. There's a lot of information about the information, and that's what our metadata is. And that's basically what we're going to be learning how to do to get started. So, and then the last key here in my notes is interpreted by a browser. So after the developer or the person who's creating the website writes out or creates their HTML which describes this document, the other person on the other end, the person who's viewing the document, needs some type of software to view their website that the developer created, and that's what's called the browser. The three most famous that just pop in my head are Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Google Chrome. Also Safari for the Mac operating system. So that's basically the gist of the model for creating and viewing websites. You have a developer or a creator who constructs the HTML that describes the website or the page or the document, whatever you want to call it, and then you have the client on the other side, who's the person who views that document using a web browser. So that's the basic idea, and as we move forward we're going to talk about, focus on how the developer actually creates and crafts the metadata in order to show the viewer on the client side who's looking at the browser exactly what we want them to see.